The second piece of this is accurate and thorough records. What's the classic saying about records? If you didn't document it, hallelujah. I mean, we all know this one. I work in the state of crazy record, live in the state of crazy record happenings. Many of you have heard me say we had a ceiling like this with records hidden in it. We had records in dumpsters that the media found. People, trying to hide them all over the place. And of course, I live in the sunshine state of record falsification. So, we deal with a lot of looking behind for falsification of records. So record review for us and for everyone is very important because we're documenting a part of somebody's life. And for some of our programs, foster care and adoption, what's in that record may be the only history that child has. And I think we ought to view that as just a sacred trust that those records are what they need to be. Now, I recognize the most unglamorous part of this work is the record, but it's essential. And if we think of it as that record and its importance, it's not quite as tedious. We want to satisfy our consumers, so that's who we serve, but that's our funders, that's our donors, that's our communities. So we want to always be thinking about how do we do it better from their perspective. And when the state comes in and removes your child from home, you're not going to feel very satisfied at that moment, but you'll be more satisfied if you were treated respectfully, you had a good case plan, you participated, you knew what to do. So satisfaction means something maybe a little bit different for us. The whole purpose of this work is to minimize the risk to children and families and to maximize the benefits. So that's center. That's the core of what we do through all our services and programs. The first row around it is private agency, POS, if you want to think of it that way, quality improvement. We do program evaluation. We look at our outcomes. We look at our incidents. We look at the records. And we look at the consumer satisfaction for our services. So for those of us who are in private agencies, that's our QI. And we do that a variety of ways, but those are the basic things we must do. The state's role and the Department of Children and Family Services, here's a little different because they have to do an internal QI on their own programs and processes, as well as provide the quality assurance. And their role should be to look at what we're doing and validate that. So they say, yes, you've looked at enough records. And I'm going to get on my high horse here for a minute. COA used to say you had to look at 10% of your records. I say you have to look at a valid sample of your records, and you can go to a website in about 2 seconds and know what number that is. If you don't look at a valid sample, you don't know if what you're looking at can be generalized across your population. So if you're not going to read enough records to know that, it's not worth it to do it. Don't waste your time on activities that don't matter. Same with your input surveys. If you don't get enough of them back to be valid, they don't mean anything. They're suggestive. And so it's really important that all of us who are 100% passionate lunatics, we've got to introduce this word valid into our discussions and make sure we're looking at enough that we can get an answer on, does that generalize, and are we finding the issues and problems? And the state ought to be asking, are we looking at enough? They should validate. I put go-behinds. One of the most important things I did in my role as state administrator, we called families and said, that caseworker who's supposed to come every month, what's that person's name? What did you do with them? When did you see them last? What did you do with them? Because we had a lot of signed forms that said they made visits, but they didn't necessarily make that visit. And so if the family doesn't know the name, they can't tell you when they were there, they can't tell you what happens, there's a pretty good chance something's going on there that you'll want to address. And so we should be doing that internally, but the state also needs to check. The state needs to look at the system outcomes. Are we, we represent a variety of agencies here. When the state of Illinois thinks about what it's buying for child welfare from all of us, as a whole, are they buying what they need? So they need to look at the system outcomes. And that's really what the CFSR does. It looks at the system. Is the state of Illinois getting what it wants for its kids and families? So I think that's why it's very important. And then looking at all of the stakeholders. That then brings in the legislators and a whole variety of folks in the communities. So these things should work together. We need to figure out how to time them so that our reviews are coordinated. we need to maximize the data in the private agency so we don't have to have the public agency coming in and doing the same thing over and over again. And I think Illinois is further down that road than a lot of places, but there's still room for that to go. And at the end of the day, we're all using that same model. We have a plan. We're going to check what we're doing. We get some information. We're going to, well, we do it, we check it. And then that last step, which is the vital one, how do we act to change? What is our follow-up to change? Okay, so this is an exciting time. These regional quality councils provide us the perfect opportunity to start creating this synergy. And I would ask you, please embrace this opportunity. I committed to Yolanda, I'm going to try to participate in every region through the year, to come to all of these meetings. My staff have committed to come and help with sharing materials. I put my email and phone in there. If there's any process you want to look at our materials, we work through this stuff constantly. We would be happy to share that with you, to talk to you about it. But this is the first step to a really well-conceived system of quality improvement. And so what I want to conclude with, will you be a leader in this process, is to just remind everyone that in this room are the two, and everyone who will be seeing me on video, the most important forces we have for quality for kids and family are you and I taking this step together and working together. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I will look forward to seeing you over the upcoming months as you build the process.